Hey guys, as you can see, I'm in a completely different atmosphere. It's not the same house that I usually have. It's not the whole brown atmosphere that you usually see. And as you can see, and yeah, I am kind of keeping it down because I happen to be in San Francisco. Yes, home of Wrestlemania 31 that happened yesterday. And no, I didn't go to it because number one, my flights were delayed. And if I actually did get tickets, I would be extremely angry and it would have ruined my entire trip. But regardless, I actually did see it. I actually did see it on the network last night, the last bit of it. But I actually went back to see it again, and I'm not gonna lie, it actually was good. The build was terrible on the way, but they really did make up for it. They really did a good job making up for it. There's only one match that I actually have a little bit of a gripe about, and of course, it's Sting versus Triple H. It has nothing to do with the fact that it's Sting. It's just all because of the fact that if it's like old guys with more old guys coming out and more old guys coming out. Yeah, they had NWO as well as Generation X come out, and they weren't needed. They really weren't needed at all. And I'm not going to say that Sting doesn't have it. He does. I'm not going to lie. He still has it. And he actually did a pretty good job. But then towards the middle of it, it got really slow, really quick. And I was really bored. And then, of course, when your audience is starting to become bored, they have to bring out, old school legends like DX or NWO. And they did nothing, and DX did nothing, and Sting and Triple H did nothing. And it shows me that these guys really try to go at it, but they just can't keep up the pace. But either or, it was kind of weird how Triple H was gloating a little ways down the line when it came to that um, a little segment that he had with The Rock. Well, I don't know what it was, but that little moment that he had with The Rock in the ring, as well as with Ronda Rousey, and saying that I beat Sting. I'm like, dude, you just shook his hand. Usually, when you shake people's hands, that means you squash the whole thing, and it's time to move on. But I don't know why he was gloating. That made no sense. I guess he forgot what he did a few hours before. But despite all that, that's the only match that I had a gripe with because of how slow it was and how boring it started to get. And I really wish it didn't happen at all. But a lot of people who are Sting fans, they love it. For me, I don't really care much for Sting, so it didn't really matter to me much. But this isn't a Sting gripe fest. I will say that they did a great job throughout the entire pay-per-view. I didn't have a chance to see the Battle Royal, and I didn't have a chance to see the whole tag team fatal four way, but I did see snippets of it later on in the show, and it looked pretty good. The fact that Big Show won, I never really expected it. A lot of people were rooting for Ryback, but seeing how Big Show won, I don't care. It kind of is, in a way, it's kind of paying tribute to Andre the Giant. You have a giant actually winning the Battle Royal, so honestly, I don't really mind that at all. But one thing I am happy about is seeing that Tyson Kidd and Cesaro actually did keep the belts because I did not want the Usos to win. They're the most boring champions ever. And the only thing that makes them interesting is Naomi. That's it. Naomi is the only card they can play. She's the only interesting character in their group. Other than that, they're boring. But despite all that, I'm happy that Tyson Kidd and Cesaro actually did win. But the other matches really did impress me. I was highly impressed with the Divas match. And it really did show how much range that Nikki and Brie have learned over the years. We all knew that AJ Lee was pretty good with submission holds, as well as Paige being good at submission holds. That's was their specialty, and they did a good job with that. They actually did kind of up the whole kind of up the ante when it came to the Bella Twins and kind of made them work, which really made the match great. And a lot of people had, zero expectations of how great it would be, but it was good and I enjoyed it. I really did. It was a really great match. But the highlight of my night personally was the Intercontinental Ladder match. Oh my gosh. That match was phenomenal. It really reminded me of Money in the Bank. But seeing how Daniel Bryan won, I know there'll be a lot of pissed off people out there because people were rooting for Dean Ambrose. But honestly, like I said in my preview, I don't mind if Dean Ambrose wins. I don't mind if Daniel Bryan wins. Either or, I don't mind. It doesn't bother me at all. Honestly, it was great. It really was. It was a great show. They put on a great um, they put on a great match for the crowd. The crowd was loving it. The crowd was highly lively and fickle, but that's the WWE Universe. What do you expect? But either or, they were really fickle, but really, really lively, and I like that. They really did bring out more fun to the actual pay-per-view. And honestly, speaking of fun, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of nice to see Stephanie in that grapple that Ronda put her in, and her have her screaming for her life. And Stephanie is by far one of the best female heels ever. Seriously, she's by far one of the best female heels ever. And I don't think anyone can touch her at this point. Her segment that she had with Triple H was gold. I loved it. I really did. And she looked really good that night. I don't know if she had work done, but either or, she looks really good. But despite all that, moving on. One match that I really didn't expect that was going to happen, and I know I said this in my preview that it's just going to be an appearance, body slam, and leave. I was wrong. Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker. That actually was a match that came to be. And The Undertaker really didn't have to say anything. But I have to say that Bray Wyatt's interesting entrance was eerie enough. But honestly, it was a pretty okay match. It wasn't horrible, but it was okay. We know that Bray Wyatt, in my opinion, was not ready for Taker, and Taker did what he could. But honestly, I can't say that Taker is at his is still got it. He's at the top of his game because he was facing Bray Wyatt. He probably still has a lot of things going on with him. The fact that he got beat up by Brock Lesnar about a year ago. Regardless of that, I can't say that he's actually at the top of his game, like I said before, because of who he was facing. But I will say that it was an okay match. It still kind of felt one-sided, but it was an okay match. I know a lot of people were mad because The Undertaker won, but let's be real. Nobody's going to, I mean, the WWE lost a lot of money when he lost the streak. When the streak ended, they lost a lot of money. They're not going to lose anymore. They're going to have him win. And that was a really strategic move, well, a business move on their part, but I understand why they did it. And I'm kind of happy that they did it that way. But honestly, um, it wasn't horrible. But let's go back to some, before I go to the other matches, let's go to some of the entrances. I really didn't expect Triple H to come out there pretty much doing the whole Terminator thing. He had the futuristic Skull King with like the whole skull arms, the holding. That was weird and it was stupid. It was stupid because of where they were. Like his interests have always been legendary, pretty much because of the arena and where they were and the whole ambiance, as well as it being a closed arena. You're in an open arena. There's some things you can't pull off that makes it look great, and it just looks stupid. I'm sorry. If it was on the inside with a closed arena, it would look awesome, but it looked dumb when he did it in an open arena. It just didn't look right, but he did the best he could and he somewhat pulled it off. But it just wasn't that great. And Sting had a pretty interesting performance as well. The fact that Sting actually had some Japanese drummers out there, it was actually pretty cool. I really, and it kind of fit well with the whole with how Sting is and how mysterious he is and how much of an enigma he is. It kind of fits his whole character. But I will say that the drums were about off the music. They really weren't in sync. But hey, that happens. The same thing with Rusev's entrance with the U.S. title. And when Lana came in first and Rusev came in on a tank, which was cool, but I will say that the soldiers were off. Their cadence was way off. But either or, it wasn't that bad. It was a great entrance. It fit the whole arena, and it kind of made Rusev look like he was larger than life. As for John Cena was phoning it in. All he did was just do a montage, and that's it. Like a montage of how great America is, and then he just came out and threw his hat and ran. But the one thing that really surprised me was the fact that this guy is fighting for the U.S. Don't you think that you want to cheer for him? With all the build that Rusev had as being the most dominant guy, or the dominant U.S. champion that ever was, and how dominant he was, especially the fact that he was Russian, do you honestly think that you want to cheer for your guy from your country instead of booing him? That's the one thing I didn't get. Why in the world was the WWE Universe booing John Cena when John Cena was rooting for you? Seriously, he was actually for you. He was fighting for your country. So why the heck are you booing him? Seriously. Honestly, I don't really mind the fact that John Cena won the U.S. title. I really consider it being a downgrade for him since he's the 15-time WWE champion. And the fact that that was the first belt he ever won before he got all his championships. But either or, he actually did beat Rusev. And the fact that he did beat Rusev after how dominant Rusev was, it was good. Besides, John Cena hasn't won a decent match in almost 8 months since Brock Lesnar took him, well, pretty much owned him at SummerSlam. So I really didn't mind him winning at all. And I know people would be all mad. All the Cena haters would be like, "Arr!" But regardless, I don't mind it. He has been 8 months. He can have a title now. He needs to have a decent build to build up his character. If that's how it will work, that's how it will work. And if people don't want to cheer for him, they're just being straight up haters. That's pretty much it. And yeah, I had beef about his character, about Survivor Series, but that's how his character was portrayed. But how they're building it up now, I can kind of understand that, and I'm fine with it now. I really am. Whatever. I moved on from there. But speaking of moving on, let's talk about the match that not a lot of people expect would happen. Let's talk about, yeah, Roman Reigns. Actually, no, before we talk about Roman Reigns versus Lesnar, let's talk about the match that I pretty much have forgotten because it really was somewhat a forgettable match, except for towards the end. It was phenomenal. I will say that Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins wasn't that bad. It started off slow in the beginning, but like I said, Randy Orton is only as good as his opponent. When he actually faces a decent opponent that can really up the ante for him, if he brings his A game, he'll bring his A game. So Seth Rollins kind of sort of brought out a decent A game in the middle, and at first it was kind of slow, but in the middle it started to speed up. But the phenomenal curb stomp turned into RKO. The curb stomp RKO was amazing. He went straight up in the air, came down with precision. I will say that Randy Orton has gotten a lot better when it comes to his execution of his moves. And he's not so sloppy with it as he used to be and hurting people every single time he does it. He actually is a lot more careful now, and he's a lot more precise in his execution. So I don't really mind it. I mean, I was actually kind of impressed with not only Seth Rollins, but I was impressed with Randy Orton towards the middle of it. But the end was phenomenal, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm glad that Randy Orton won because it squashed his feud and Randy Orton can move on. But it also led to a big turning point that a lot of people predicted in their predictions, that if Seth Rollins did not win, then more than likely he was going to cash in. But then you can't really say that. If he actually did win, he was going to probably cash in anyway. But either or, even if he didn't win this one, it was still a win-win for Seth. Like, he wasn't going to lose anything. But moving on to the actual main event. The main event, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Wow. That's pretty much all I could say about that. Brock Lesnar pretty much had Roman Reigns owned the entire pay-per-view. There was barely any offense. It came close to being Cena versus Lesnar at SummerSlam all over again. Straight up. Like, by far, he had absolutely no offense or defense at all. He was just a rag doll. It took a pretty much a move of desperation for him to actually come close to beating Brock Lesnar, but he had nothing to take him down. The Superman punch couldn't even knock him down. It took about the fourth punch to knock him down. And how many German suplexes that Brock Lesnar put him in? 8. By far, it probably knocked the wind out of its sails. But I will say that Roman Reigns still has nothing to put him away. Nothing. Not even the spear. But the one thing that really did make the entire night awesome, not the entire night, but just that match awesome, was how Seth Rollins came out to cash in when they were both laid out, honestly, and made it a triple threat match. That was amazing. I never really would have expected that twist ending. No one expected that twist ending. It was phenomenal. But it was also smart of Seth Rollins to not pin Lesnar. He pinned Roman Reigns. Either or, they're gonna make it to where you just didn't beat me. But either or, now we got Seth Rollins to be the champion, and we got Seth Rollins on the Today Show, which I probably did miss because it's 11 o'clock here. And it's actually, I think it comes on at 9 or something in the East Coast. I'm at the West Coast right now. But guys, it was amazing. That was a huge twist of the night. But then it also puts a lot of questions in people's heads. You just had Brock Lesnar sign probably a multi-million-dollar deal to be part-time, but also get full-time pay, which is phenomenal. But then you wonder what they're going to do with him now. But like I said, he's going to be limited appearances, just like Randy Orton's going to have limited appearances. That's probably the reason why the Randy Orton won, because Randy Orton's probably not going to be back until the next pay-per-view. Probably until the next pay-per-view after next. Same thing with Brock. He's probably going to be gone for a while, taking a breather from the match that he had at WrestleMania for a few months. So I guess it's kind of good that he did lose, but he's going to probably come back with a vengeance. And he's going to probably come back during one of the big 4 pay-per-views. By the way, guys, my personal thoughts is this. This was a really great pay-per-view. I really kind of thought the worst because of how the build was and how bad the Royal Rumble was. But I will say this, it was great. And it was also kind of interesting to actually see the Shane O'Mac chance. It was phenomenal to see the Shane O'Mac chance. And I kind of miss Shane O'Mac, and I kind of wish he was back. But he's not. At least we had a chance to see The Rock, and it was also kind of cool to actually see Daniel Bryan get congratulated by one of the great IC champions of all time. All of them came out, including my boy, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Yes, I was marking out, seriously. But guys, I want to hear your thoughts about WrestleMania 31. Leave a comment in the comment section below or send me a video response on what you think about this pay-per-view and whether you think it was great, boring, whatever. I want to hear your thoughts. And as for a Raw review, you're probably not going to hear my Raw review until Wednesday, and for the Q&A is going to be pushed back until Thursday. So it's going to kind of switch it up since I'm on vacation and it is my birthday, so I'm going to have a good time now. I will see you guys later. Peace out.